Recording's in progress. So I have my dear and dare I say delicious friend, Adriana Dale, with me. Adriana is a spiritual life coach, and we've been friends for a few years. And when we first met, Adriana, you were doing you were an HR specialist for corporate, right?
Yeah, I was doing training and development for big companies. Yeah.
Yeah. And at the time I was doing intuition coaching.
Yes.
And you were like, how does a person get to do this for a living?
Totally. Yes, absolutely. I was mind blown by people paying other people to get good at their intuition. It was just a concept I didn't even really understand.
It's and it's like, well, yes, of course. I mean, this is how I lived my life for the last, 30 years. So I can imagine not teaching, because, with all the intuitive gifts, the psychic gifts that come into play. I was like, I can totally teach people how to get in touch with their intuition, know what their gifts are. And you're like, but you were so drawn. You were so drawn. You had
absolutely. Yes. Yeah. I was, it was just kind of, once I understood it, that was me, at the onset of understanding energy and intuition and creating your own reality. So anybody who was in that space, I just wanted to consume everything that they had to offer. So the fact that you had been operating like this your whole life was just incredible, just outside of the box thinking thing for me, that I thought was just amazing. I was so excited when I met you.
And I remember tuning into your energy, and as I talked more and more, and I got to know you better, you got more and more relaxed. I could feel inside of you, I was like, you are on the precipice of something. There is something big coming your way, and it's about energetics and it's about intuition. You're like, I don't know. And you're like, yeah, I think so. And then tell us that story. Tell us how you transitioned from corporate into being a spiritual life coach in the space of 18 months, a year? How long has it been?
It really started in 2019. So it was just, it was fast. I was in the corporate world, and I had just, had kind of a quantum leap. I had doubled my salary overnight. And then I was kind of playing in what I felt at the time were the big leagues. And, when I got there, it was great. But then I experienced lack, in my life. My husband lost his job, and I was just the sole breadwinner, and I was experiencing a lot of struggle. So I just decided that everything was just too hard. I was making money and it was still too hard. And I just woke up one day and I decided that if I could figure out how to double my salary, I could do it again. And I just decided that I was going to go all in to figure this out, because life just felt like it was it just felt like a constriction, you know what I mean? Where you just feel like there's a lightness that's out there, and I haven't felt that inside of me for a long time. So I decided that I was going to figure out the answers, and that I could lose it all in the process, but I wasn't going down having not given it my all. And that's when I really kind of started to look into, conferences and different kind of thoughts around abundance and around wealth and around flow and around ease. And that's really when I started to study and read, all the books. We all know all the books, right? And they all pretty much say the same thing. Everything is energy. And something about that made sense to me immediately. Cellularly, I felt it. And I just got my hands on everything that I could consume. I just became a student again. But, I was just captivated by everything I can get my hands on. And then slowly, actually very quickly, I started to meet a lot of people like you, Bridget, right? That I would just stumble across, and I'd be like, you're an intuition coach? Wait, what does that mean? What do you do? How do you do this? How is it that you operate? And I was just fascinated by it. And, that led me to making some decisions about leaving the corporate world and starting my own business and, taking off all like limitations that could possibly exist that we create within ourselves, and kind of like breaking all of those ceilings and just wondering like what's possible, what is possible versus, what I had on repeat was, this is good enough. I should be grateful. I should just be grateful, which was not true gratitude. It was like guilt masked as gratitude.
Ooh.
There are so many people who don't have this. I should be grateful, but it wasn't true gratitude that I feel now in my life. It was just a different kind of energy.
That in itself is its own journey of personal evolution, So I'm curious, because you said, I wanted to break it down a little bit. You said that you had doubled your salary. And when you said that, it felt like that was the beginning of something. So how did you double your salary?
So I was working in corporate at Trader Joe's at the time, and I had been there for a long time. I was like rounding the corner on 14 years. Granted, 3 of those years were in the stores, working in tennis shoes, ringing up customers, having a great time. Then I moved into the corporate office, and I had some promotions along the way. And I was very happy with my job. I loved my coworkers. I loved what it is that I did, but I was, making about $75K at the time. And in true gratitude, not guilt, but in gratitude, I would drive home to my home after work, and I would just imagine somebody calling me out of the blue, no resume, nothing, but just offering me a job at 150K. And it was just like, it was fun. I've always kind of been a daydreamer. So getting lost in the fantasy, getting lost in the daydream, it never felt like lack. It always felt expansive. It was just a fun thing to do. And so I practiced that just because it was fun. And I went out on maternity leave in 2017, and I got a call from one of the former senior vice presidents of Trader Joe's, who was now the CEO of another big company. And he asked me to come in for a meeting. I came in for a meeting, and by 4:00 that afternoon, I had an offer for 150K plus bonus and all these other perks. And I never even turned in a resume. It happened just like I imagined it. It seemed like insanity at the time. And so then, it was incredible, but then that became normal very fast, like the big miracles can just feel like no big deal immediately. And then even though I made that jump, then we experienced my husband losing his job, and everything felt constricting again. And I knew that he had to work on his own mindset around his finances, and that this was like my opportunity to really figure out what had happened there. How had I manifested this so quickly? How, if I could do that, could I do it again? And then I got really kind of focused on not trying to recreate that, but understand it, like really understand it, so that I can create more of that kind of propulsion in my life. And then, feel more empowered, in control of what was going on around me versus, hoping that things worked out for me, or, feeling like scanning for injustice about like why I was where I was and how things were unfair. I never really liked that energy. So I was like, how can I really stand in my power at all times?
Wow. Those are some really big questions to ask yourself, because it's very easy in a culture in a society that constantly disempowers us and teaches us to source our source our strength from exterior sources and source credibility from exterior sources.
Mhm.
It's to, in the face of having to be the sole breadwinner and your husband losing his job, and with that, whatever emotions come for him, you know, the hit to his self-esteem and whatnot, to stand in your own power and be like, no, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to figure out how I did it. Like everything happens for a reason.
Mhm.
And you, to figure out, those are some very big questions to ask you. And that, it sounds like, is when things really started to turn for you or
Yeah.
open.
Yeah. So the more I got like deeper and deeper in my study of energy, what I was doing at the time is I was a director of training and development. So I was writing all of the training content for leadership, right? Communications. But then I started to throw in mindset and energy and really kind of show people how they are creating their own unique reality based on their mindset, the lens in which they view life. And so that started to create a lot of aha moments for people, a lot of interest in training and leadership development and all of those things. And I started to get a lot of attention from all of the departments at my new corporate job. And it became clearer and clearer to me that like what my motivation was at work, like what really lit me up was having people kind of return to their own power, understand that all of the answers are already within them, to be in the awareness of the lens in which they look at life, and really kind of be able to understand where they are energetically at all times, right? Are they, you know, putting on a role of a victim, it like unconsciously? And if so, how do they learn to recognize that storyline and rewrite it to a more empowering one, right? Because you know, it's possible for everybody to create whatever it is that they want, but you cannot produce above your own self-image. So you have to really get really good at being nice to yourself and giving yourself a lot of passes, right? And stop seeking perfection and just like kind of falling in love with yourself and everybody else all over again.
It's like that concept of treat yourself like your own best friend, you know, like,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
would you talk to your best friend like that?
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. So I have a question then. Why did you leave corporate? If you were having such awesome reception for your mindset and your like this like the energetics, the spiritual stuff that you're bringing in, I'm sure not calling it spirituality, but just calling it like energetics and mindset.
Yeah.
Why not stay in that route? Why not stay in that route and like go like teach corporate America, like become an independent sales consultant and
I
teach
did.
and
I thought, yeah, I did that for a little bit. I was doing that, but like what was the most exciting to me was giving it to people who were really interested in making that change. When you're doing it for corporate America, you're kind of like training a lot of different people, and 80% of them can be really into it. 20% of them might not be, because their lens is a lens of life is hard, life is expensive, people don't change, right? That becomes the lens. And so in my life, there was always a desire to create something that was my own, like a desire for entrepreneurship. It always existed, and I would always quiet it down and quiet it down. And I just felt like I wanted to do something that was all mine. I could leave corporate and still love them and still see the best in all of the people and the relationships that I made. But to honor myself and what it is that I truly wanted, I had to take the leap and trust that it would work out.
wow. Yeah. It's you were following the call inside.
I was, and I will tell you something. It was, I get really scared when I had to make the call, because I said that I would make the call by January 2021, and I would put in my notice. And I called on, I called on spirit. I was like, listen, I'm going to be too chicken shit to make the call, because at this point, there's way too much money on the table. And you got to help me. You got to show me the way, because the closer the date comes, like the more fear that I'm feeling inside. So show me the way. And on October 16th, I was pulled into an office and my role was eliminated. And in that moment, I like just knew that this was happening for me because of COVID. We couldn't bring the people together to train. And there was just a massive layoff going on at that company. And so I was like so overjoyed with gratitude, and it worked out so much better than I could have ever imagined, because I received a compensation package that was 5 times what I thought it would have been, and so I was taken care of, like, if not this, something better. Like when you just ask for, to be shown the way, and you get out of the way and stop controlling it, like it just works out so much better than you could have ever imagined. So then that was my sign. That was like okay, well, let's fucking go. Like, let's make this happen. Right? This is what you wanted, and it's like here, and it's being handed to you. So it's time to do it.
Wow. That's very powerful.
Yeah.
And it's nice that you didn't have to make the decision.
It was like the greatest gift. It was so incredible. I mean, I remember like putting my box in the car and like rolling down the windows and turning up the music. And I called my best friend, and she met me at Bardo for cocktails to celebrate, right? Like it was just, oh my God, I was so scared of like making the call, and I didn't even have to do it.
Yeah. But, you and I share the belief that like what is in our hearts is what we actually are putting out to the universe, and that's what we actually get. So the desire was truly in your heart to leave that position and leave it in a graceful way.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it was handled very, very gracefully.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah,
like,
I still have a great relationship with everybody there. And I love that experience.
have any of the people that you worked with in corporate followed you into the spiritual side, either becoming clients or following you like on social media?
A lot of them follow me on social media, and I have had, a handful of clients that have, worked with me. But it's funny when when you start doing the work, you just kind of realize that you are always kind of doing it. Like you are always like helping people adjust their lens, experience like, a hard situation, like, just the willingness to see things differently will change everything. Right. And if there's a willingness there, then you can create change.
You've mentioned the word lens a few times.
Oh, yeah.
So it sounds like it's one of your core let's call it a core thing.
Yeah. It's totally my thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So what is the lens? Tell me about that.
Well, like, if you're looking at life through the lens of injustice, for example, and you're looking at different ways in which the world is unfair or certain situations are unfair, that's not going to feel good within you, but it's the lens in which you are looking at life. Like you are the author, you are creating your own unique reality. And that lens and the vibration that lens holds is having you scan the world for more of the same. Because if you have a belief, right, your brain is going to just scan for evidence of you being correct. And so as it scans for evidence of you being correct, you will continue to see more of the same and more of the same and more of the same. So there could be people, let's just say at Target, right? And one person's lens is everything is so expensive in here. And so the way in which they are experiencing Target is pointing out how expensive the things are, how they could buy them at Walmart for cheaper, how, and so their experience isn't like nice because they're scanning through injustice and, and lack, while somebody could be walking through Target and feeling like, oh, I love the store. It's so clean. It's so bright. They have great assortment, great merchandise. Like I can always find what I need here. They have great holiday decor. And so their lens and their experience is much different than the person who is looking through a lens of lack. So we're just creating our own unique reality, essentially, based on what it is that we're searching for evidence of. And that's usually an unconscious creation of, core beliefs that you've taken on from childhood, right? Life is hard, life is expensive, things are unfair, you need to sacrifice, you need to, work hard. And so then you feel like you don't deserve things until you sacrifice and work hard. And then that becomes the way in which you experience life.
So you help your clients to change the lens through which they view the world, and thus becoming master manifestors of whatever they are, being intentional about what they want to create.
Absolutely. Yeah. Creating intention and, just having more fun. Honestly, it's like about, softening all of the resistance and getting into receiving. For example, like if you're not good at spending money, it's going to be really hard for you to receive money. Like with what it is that you do, Bridget, with like, interior design, right? If you're willing to get rid of stuff, right, you make all of this room for new energy in your life, and it's the kind of energy that you desire. But if you don't have the ability to start to get rid of the stuff, right, you have to be able to hire somebody who knows what they're doing and trust that that's going to create the room that you desire, right? It's like, if we want to grow, we have to be willing to invest in ourselves. And, like you and I, we've worked with coaches. We understand what it is to invest in yourself so that we can receive and make room for, okay, this is where we're kind of plugging all of the energy. Let me go ahead and release that and open that up.
My life didn't change. My life truly began to change when I started investing in coaching.
Mm-hmm.
And I was scared to death of
Yeah.
the investment. And the investment was $250 a month for
Mm-hmm.
like 3 months, and like I was just in such a place of lack and scarcity because I was using my life through the lens of you have to work very, very hard for very little money, and everything inside of me was saying like, this is not the way, but yet there was that core belief that was like, you have to work. And that comes from being the daughter of a farmer, and like you have to work very, very hard as a farmer to yield a crop,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so it just, and that belief was passed on and ingrained in me, and so there's got to be a better way. And so there's always that initial investment that is just, it can be very, very fearful, but it's always the beginning. Whenever you say yes to yourself in some capacity, it's always the beginning of change. And it's never it's never like that like big 180,
Yeah.
it's just like I remember like the first couple of years was just about like stopping the ball. It's like creating inertia. The first couple of years, like creating inertia, because all of my beliefs and the way that I was living life was through that one lens of lack. And it was like, I just got to slow the roll on that thing,
Yeah.
and as I was able to make more space and practice a deeper spirituality and connect more with my own gifts and learn to trust and to see how like my heart is open and connected to all that is, right? And that like we manifest from the heart. And so that's where all the energy really is for manifesting, for creation, not just but it's creation. I was like, I'm creating my life in every single fucking moment. And look what I've created.
I know.
Some of it was really, really great. And that's what I was like, do you not like yourself? Like, why would you do this?
Yeah. It's like, if you could identify where the contraction is, right? The fear of investing in yourself, it feels like a contraction, like a fear, like a resistance, right? And if you can walk right past that and get on the other side of it, then you make room for the expansion, right? But like right before expansion, there's always that like fear, right? It's so hard to spend money in a way that you're not used to spending money. Like it's easier to put it into a pair of shoes or a good meal or a handbag. But like for some people, they just never understood not having something tangible that they spend money on. But you know, for me, investing in myself is like my priority because it's terrifying. And I know that on the other side of that, right, is like where all the big wins are.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's you start to learn when you're able to invest in yourself rather than shoes is when it shows that you're beginning to learn your value.
Mhm.
Or heck, maybe you go to Payless and you buy your shoes. You don't spend more than $20 on a pair of shoes from Marshalls. It's like I deserve, you're at Marshalls and you're at Payless because of a sense of fear. Like I don't have enough money to spend on the kind of shoes that I want to spend. It's like if that's your mindset, then
I'm sorry, one
it's
second.
okay. Children.
Maeve, what do you need?
Um, my my iPad's done charging.
Okay. Go tell Hugh. Close the door. Close the door. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Okay.
So you begin to learn your worth.
Mm-hmm.
You really
Yeah,
begin
absolutely.
to that starts to change. And I see that in when people are investing in decluttering and organizing and decorating, it's like the only way I'll hire them as a client is if they value my services and they demonstrate that they value themselves,
Absolutely. Yeah.
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 Because they're not going to get the full return on investment if they don't value it and let the professionals do their jobs and be open to professionals
Absolutely.
doing their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Like whether they're going for like a spiritual life coach like you or an organizer and decorator like me, it's a collaborative experience.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you both have to be a match for each other, for sure. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about the energy of home.
Oh my
Because
God, I love this. Yes.
this is the best. This is the
Yes.
tits, as I like to
Yes.
say.
Yes, it's definitely the tits.
So I'm very curious because as you evolved in your own spirituality, in your own personal development, and in your own awareness of energy, and you stayed in the same home over that evolution, right?
Yes. Yes. Mhm.
So how did your relationship to your space change as you went through this evolution?
I've always been interested in space, so homes have always been super important to me. But as I went through the evolution, there was just a clear marker where it was like, okay, this space needs an upgrade, I've always been very proud of my home, but the constant changing and the improving, it's just kind of in my DNA. I've always been like that. I've always wanted to get nicer drapes, and redo rooms. But when I got really into it, it became just crystal clear to me that there was something that needed to change. There was like an elevation that needed to happen, that I understood how influenced I was by my surroundings. My environment makes me feel a whole lot of different ways. Right. I would rather go on vacation for 2 days and stay in an exceptional hotel than go on vacation for 5 and like stay at a okay hotel. Right. It's just, I need that. So, it just became clear to me that if I was going to create something that was remarkable, I needed to feel remarkable in my space. And so, I have always been asked by my friends to, help them remodel their homes, to choose colors, to help pick couches. But I was like, I only know what I know up to this level. Like, I need to bring in a professional who understands dimension, scope, colors, textures, layering, because I want my house to feel very kind of rich. but like comfortable, like very California, relaxed, but elevated, right? With
And
like
you live in California.
rose, yes, like very, very beautiful. And so I looked at the people who I knew, and one of them is my best friend Hillary, one of my best friends Hillary, who is exceptional at design. And you know, she doesn't have like a big business, but I believe in her eye so much, because every time I walk into anything that she throws in terms of parties or homes or something, she just has it. And so, you know, when I see your work, Bridget, and I see what you do to like people's homes, I'm like, this is literally life changing. It is absolutely, completely changing how somebody feels in their space. The reflection of like what they see coming back at them when they walk through their door, how they feel when they open up their cupboards and everything is organized. Like, that creates space for me to be creative and for me to feel my best. And nothing is more important to me than how I feel. So space is everything to me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. When people people they get used to their spaces and they can become blind to certain things. I would say that a large percentage of my clients they're like, I just got used to it, you know?
Yeah.
Like I always wanted to change it. I just got used to it. And one day I didn't want to be used to it anymore, you know? And then we would have a deeper conversation, you know, like that's how I deliver my service. You know, it's not just like, can you come in and do my pantry? Like, you know, there are about 30 organizers, declutterers in the Westport, Connecticut area alone. You know, it's like you can go choose from any of them and they'll do a fantastic job. But for me, it's about the intentionality with your space. It's like, how it's because there is no disconnect between your inner self and your personal environment. And that's the client I want to work with, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like the person who, when their space is cleared and cleaned up and everything is, you know, there's a space for everything in its space, and it is beautiful. Like there is beauty in order, you know? And when we've cleaned out closets, we've cleaned out cabinets, with just that decluttering and creating the structures, they just breathe, like something in them relaxes and then expands. Because in the relaxation, you get into receptive mode. You know, people don't realize that, you know, and then I'll talk to like a few weeks later, they're like, oh my God, this amazing thing just happened, you know, and I will credit much of that to the fact that we decluttered and organized and set up the home beautifully, you know, because there's order now, and order allows space for energy to flow in the home. So, yeah, and like when they can do that. Go ahead.
And another thing is, it's like, you know, like for me, it was like so much more than like the space it was created and the beauty like around it. It's like, I got to talk to her. I learned so much. Like I expanded what I even understood when I thought like, this is all I knew. So it's like, you're not just like modifying a space, like you're consuming so much knowledge from the person as you work with them, that is knowledge you'll carry forever, right? Like an understanding, a way of like the way that they did things and organize, like your tips and the little tips that you give on Instagram and all that stuff. I apply almost all of them. Like I really pay attention to them. I like the way that you talked about how to add bags at the bottom of your closet of things that you don't wear, or things you're going to donate, or things that you're going to, you know, take to a consignment store or whatever. And like how to like just keep reducing as you go. Like all of that little stuff. I'm like, oh, that's really helpful. Like I had no idea. Like that's such a good skill. I apply all of that stuff. It's tremendously like valuable.
It's maintenance is tremendously valuable. Like, Your
Yeah.
car will run, you can do no oil for like,
Yeah.
20,000 miles. And then at some point it's gonna be like, it's gonna cough and die. So you have to maintain your home. And just like those little things, these are things that are so clear and no-brainery to me.
Yeah.
And then I forget that people don't have the skill. One of my dearest friends had such an eye for beauty, but she could not wash a dish right to save her life. And she didn't see it. Like she couldn't clean. She like none of it. Like everything. Like what mattered was like the color on the walls was right. The art was beautiful. Like high quality furniture. But she couldn't see the dirt. She couldn't see like all the crap. And I'm like, do you not see this? Like, how do you just let your clothes pile up? And I would go in there, she's my best friend, I just like fold it up and put it away. And she's like, oh, I didn't know it could look like this. And she's English. It's like it's like, you do that? That's how you're supposed to. I'm like, yep, that's how you're supposed to do it. It's like things that that you and I take for granted that most people don't understand, and how the clutter creates blockages in the space, And she was a writer, so like everything once I would clear out the space, she'd be able to sit down and write, and just the words would flow before she was having blockages, So it really relates to how you operate as a spiritual life coach. It's if you're looking at life through the lens of lack, for example, we tend to hold on to things, right? Like, oh, I might need that someday, all the time. I might need it someday. And it's like, if you need another piece of string, you can order it on Amazon. I will send you the link.
Yeah.
I will title the email string. Buy the string, it's like that. So when I teach people, we should totally tag team clients.
Oh my God. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I talk about space with my clients all the time, but I don't have the skill set to do what it is that you do. Like, you understand that. I mean, even when you do like your favorite tile stores or your favorite rug shops, I'm just like, I mean, I wish I was near there, because that's like, if people live near you, that's like gold. Like, people need to know where the best places are in order to buy rugs, or what dimensions to get them. Forever, I was buying the wrong dimension rugs for my living areas. And I can see such a difference with the right dimension. It's like little things that create this massive change in a space.
Yeah, a large rug, not too large for the space, but like a large rug, especially in the living area, the bedroom, it anchors the space, and it creates a larger feeling of luxury, or a deeper sense of luxury, especially like a good quality rug.
Or like how high to do the drapes, like, like that's so important. When I see them too low, it drives me crazy now. If I walk into a space and they're too low.
Yeah, they sit too low, or people get these random shades, the random drapes, and just like cut off like 1.5 feet from the ground. I'm like, I go, why did you do that? I out of genuine curiosity, I'm like, why are your drapes sitting at this height? Was there a purpose? And like, that's just what I got. Like, okay, you got it. Like, they don't have to. And then I would tell them, like, when your drapes are larger and when they're higher, and then you offset, you extend the rod out another like 12 inches, and then you double up the panels, it creates a bigger sense of luxury with fewer dollars, really. I mean, you can go to the home. One of my favorite clients, she lives in a brownstone in Boston. She rents, and it's got like 40 million foot ceilings, right? I think they're like 12 feet high ceilings.
Oh my goodness.
And oh my God. So she had these velvet panels, and I was like, where did you get these? I need to get more for you, And she's like, Home Depot. They were like $15 a panel. I was like, I put trim on it, and the trim was $13 a yard, and they look like they're $500 panels, but it's, but it elevated the space. She's a dating and relationship coach. And so she loves luxury, but she wasn't able to get like the dimensions right. The scale was always wrong. She's like, Bridget, I'm gonna move. You're my last shot. I was like, you do not need to move for this. Like, I got you, don't worry. And so just those simple things to create that feeling of luxury allows her to feel more like a queen in her own space. And
Yeah.
so, and that allows her to operate at a higher level, you know? But what we did, we also decluttered. She hired me to come in and help her declutter. So it's so important to have that initial purge, right? So that she
Yeah.
can clear out all that old stuff. We have a bin. This is my favorite things. I think I might post this as a tip on Instagram or something. We have her mom loves to give her little stuff, you know, like a little elf or like a little doll or something, you know, and she's like, I can't have this in my house. What do I do? I was like, you're going to get a bin and it's going to say decor. Okay. And all of your mom's stuff goes in that bin. Okay. And when you know she's going to come over, you pull some stuff out and you put it around so that she feels good. When she leaves, you put it back in the bin and you put the bin away. I was like, she's like, oh my God. Yeah. You know, so like it totally works. Yeah. So, but to get back to what we were talking about, right? It's the energetics of space and how the like creating space in the home can help to shift things for people.
Yeah.
And
I mean, imagine like having a messy car and then like taking it to get washed and then maintaining it spotless for like a week. And just pay attention to how you feel. Now imagine doing that to your home. Like, oh my God, mind blown. You go to bed and you feel good. You feel like able to rest and like be present and, you know, be your creative best. You know, people all like, do you remember being in college and not being able to study until your space was clean? Like that was me. I mean, and I'm fairly messy as a person. I mean, I'm not spotless or anything, but you know, I leave things thrown about, but I have to pick it up. If I'm going to get something done, everything needs to be picked up. And then I just feel like I have all the space to be clear and create from like the right place. I'm not thinking about other things that I need to do. It's again, it's like, you know, if your stuff makes you feel heavy, if your stuff makes you contract, if you feel embarrassed about having somebody over, if you are uncomfortable by somebody just unexpectedly popping by, right? You have the ability to change that. All it requires is you being willing to do the things to get you to the other side of that so that you never have to hold on to, you know, a certain level of shame over like the mess, right? I have friends even who will say, oh, like they always blame it on the kids. Oh, it's the kids. It's the kids. It's because it's the kids. I can't maintain a clean house. You can always maintain a clean house. There are bins that you can buy. There are baskets that you can hide toys in. Everything exists. There's a solution for everything, but you just have to be willing to see it. And it can change everything for you.
so you, as the mother of 2 children under the age of 10, you know, you just made a big statement. You know, you totally can maintain a home. You know, you don't blame it on the kids. How do you do that? What do you do? Do you have systems? Do you use certain tools like, you know, bins and whatnot? Like, how do you keep your home decently clean while having 2 kids?
I worked with that with Hillary because we had like certain things that were like open and kind of exposed. And when we did a remodel, I was like, listen, I want all of the spaces to look like adult spaces and my kids to have access to all their toys when they want to play with their toys in, you know, because we have 2 living areas and one of them primarily is like where they do their crafts and stuff. But everything just has a home. Everything has a place to go. You know, we have you know, the things with like doors on them that have baskets and the crafts inside of them. There is giant Serena and Lily baskets with tops on them, you know, where the stuffies could go or the remote control cars can go. There's just, you know, there's a basket where like the shoes, when we walk in the house, go inside, you know, a big, you know, raffia basket so that it's like tucked under the table and it's just not a mess. So like everything can have a functional place that it lives, and still be accessible, right?
Yeah.
Like,
But your children, you've taught them to participate in their own cleanup.
yeah, they know how to pick up, they know how to where the stuff goes, they know that which one is the stuffy basket and which one's the toy basket, and you know, and I mean, they have an abundance of toys. Like we really kind of just go crazy with the toys, but there's always a solution for it, right? We have a lot of baskets. There's a lot of room, in their bedroom to put toys away. There is baskets for blocks and for magnet tiles and for all of the stuff. So
Clearly labeled, you know, the kids
yeah.
know what's in it. Yeah. One of my mantras in business and in life is that there's a solution for everything. There's always a solution.
Mhm.
So it depends on whether or not you are open to seeing what the real solution can be, you know. And that goes in with, you know, organization, and it goes in with coaching too. People come to you, they will complain about something happening. They're like, this always happens to me.
Mhm.
Like, I heard it, you've heard it. And it's like, are you really willing to hear the solution? Of course I am.
Mhm.
And you know, and then they'll hear it, and then they might be more invested in things staying the same way, you know. And I have clients like that too. They'll want me to come in and like just wave a magic wand and like do stuff, and I'm like, I can do that, but if you're like, it's going to go back to shit in about a week or less, you know, if we don't teach your kids how to clean up and, you know, and be on top of things. And then you have to be invested as well. Like, kids can read your energy like little x-rays, you know.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And so yeah, so they'll know whether or not you are truly invested in them being tiny and tidy.
Mhm.
So it's so fascinating. I wanted to talk about something else too. I remember, I think it was almost a year ago, you had messaged me and we had talked about, you know, like, I don't know, like yeah, it was like a year ago. You're like, I'm starting my coaching business. I'm working from home, and it's just like, I'm at the dining room table. And that's been the lives of so many people,
Yeah.
you know,
Mhm.
working from home.
Yeah.
And so, you had, you're like, I don't know what to do. Like like, I'm always backed up on the kitchen table. It doesn't feel spacious. It feels cramped. I feel out of sorts. Like, you don't have a place to establish your business and grow. And
Mhm.
so I was like, your kids have separate bedrooms? You're like, yeah. I was like, they're young enough. Why not put them in the same bedroom? And you can take over that as your office. The open one is your office. And tell us how that transpired.
Honestly, the thought had never occurred to me, Bridget, like putting both of the kids and getting a bunk bed and getting rid, like I love spaces and I loved both of their bedrooms. Both of their bedrooms were just darling. And so I had to first accept the sadness of like combining them into a bedroom. But, you know, I talked to my husband about it. We did it. They're happy. They could care less that they're in the same bedroom. And then I really kind of started to work on, all right, let's design this office. I wish I could give you pictures. And I worked again with my friend and we figured out like the best solution, the best layout, the rugs, the drapes, the everything. We got painters in here and new light fixtures. And now I have a space where I can close the door. I can go live. I can do all the things that I need to do. I can come on here. I have like a place where I can actually have a desktop, right? And work from my laptop as well, set out flowers, have a printer that's like not in my living area. And so now I feel like fully supported in terms of I was literally going live and teaching my courses from the living room. And so if the mailman came, he might make a surprise appearance through, the front door glass, and which was like kind of weird, but I just got used to. But it's so much nicer to have a space where I can close the door and work and talk to clients. And I go live every single day. So if I'm not going live in my Facebook group, I go live on Quilt, which is Audible. It's like an Audible app, but like I could just pace my office and be speaking and doing my thing in a space that feels like it's supporting what it is that I'm doing.
So you've created, by taking over one of the bedrooms as your office, you've created a space that supports your business and supports you within your business.
Yes.
Yeah. I think it's so important that if you can, in some capacity, create a small, even if you have to build. Remember, I don't know if you ever experienced this, but I was in Manhattan, and people would in order to afford more rent, they would make a 1-bedroom into a 2-bedroom. They would add a wall. You can get walls, and you can add walls, temporary walls into a living space. To me, it is that important to have a thing where you can close the door and create space, because you're the energy of business needs a place to ground. It needs a place to call home, and you and in your fledgling business needed that. They needed a place to put down some roots in order to thrive. I mean, there are also people who take their business on the road, but they are rooted in something. They have they're rooted in their laptop, or they're rooted in they have a few things that they carry around with them, and they set those things up, and boom, they're going. But they're the business has to root. And for people who are so sensitive to space and home and love those things like you and me, it's critical to have that space where you can close the door and be in harmony with your business.
It also starting to create a business, there's a lot of, insecurity that can come with that, right? Imposter syndrome. But when you root your space, you're okay, it just feels okay, this is serious. You're legitimizing all of your doubts and fears. You're not making those legitimate, but you're making yourself and your business and your worthiness legitimate by creating space for yourself.
Yeah. You're saying it is worthy and I am worthy.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's where your gifts can be delivered to the world.
Yeah.
So that was beautiful, Adriana. Well, thank you so much for being here with me.
Oh, thank you, Bridge. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I love our conversations. I love the work that you do, and how, when I feel into the energy of you and in your business, it feels like a lush garden,
Oh, thank you.
You are so gifted in what you do, and it's been a long time coming, as in it's been waiting inside of you a long time to come out. And whenever you talk, you sound like you've been doing this work for 30 years.
Thank you. I mean, on some level, I feel like I've been doing it for a long time, because I've been speaking for such a long time as part of my career. But I will tell you that going for what it is that you want, I've never felt more like myself. I've never felt happier. I've never felt more satisfied. And all of the stuff that you think are gonna make you feel those feelings of joy and certainty, it's just about accessing them now. You are creating your own unique reality based on where it is that you are right now, presently. We just need to stop chasing things and just allow us to be able to live in joy and thrive, right? And be a full expression of who we're meant to be instead of constantly being afraid of taking the next step forward. So I'm so grateful for you, Bridget. I literally would not have the space if it wasn't for you saying, hey, why don't you just double up your kids? I mean, never, ever considered it. It was like never a thought in my mind. So
That's why
yeah.
that's why you have friends who are professionals. You
Yes,
know?
absolutely.
Yeah. And I think that the work that you're doing and that we're both doing right now, especially in this time, I see like a greater division happening. You know, people are waking up more and more to energy, and
Oh
we're in
yeah.
the age of Aquarius now. People are like, why is it so easy to access my intuition? I was like, 'cause we're in the age of Aquarius. Like it's been coming. We've been waiting for it. Veils have been lifted. Things are thinner. It's meant to be, and the old stuff is falling off. But people need guides, you know, and they need space to be grounded in. So I give them the space to ground in and help them to clear out all the clutter, connect to that, and create the flow in the home, decorate the home so it is that beautiful reflection. And you help them to do the same thing with their lives to create that beautiful life. You know, there's so much more coming, you know, there's so much more coming, even if the world does end in 2050, like there's so much more coming. Anyway, I will drop in the notes in the comments where people can connect with you, but Adriana has some beautiful programs that if you are needing guidance in developing a new lens through which to look at the world and to experience the world and thus to create your world, Adriana is the person to help you with that. So I encourage you to reach out to her through Instagram, through Facebook. What's your preferred method, Adriana?
Instagram is great.
Okay.
Yeah.
You were the.adriana.dale, correct? On
Correct.
Instagram?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And I'll put that in the notes too. Okay. Thank you so much, Adriana.
All right. Love you, Bridget.
Love you.
Bye.